Hello and welcome to this episode of the Road Directly podcast. I'm Callum, and today we've got plenty to catch up on. It's been a little while since I actually did any recording. I think it's been a couple of weeks now, actually, and there's plenty to go through. I'll be honest, I had a bit of a plan mapped out for the next few weeks' worth of episodes, and that plan was pretty heftily derailed. As recently as yesterday, even, or a couple of days ago, when I found out I'd been selected for a league game for the rec team I play for, and we are going to get into that today. But essentially, I had a couple of ideas around taking a week off just to try and get a bit of a break in and come up with a few ideas. And I came up with a few ideas, and there's thankfully they're salvageable, still usable. One's all going to be around data tracking for training purposes. So I've been capturing data about off-ice and on-ice training for about a month, 2 months now. I've turned that into like a Power BI report, essentially, to help inform my progress, to help give me the right kind of leading and lagging indicators for performance. I mean, it's still work in progress, frankly. I haven't quite got all the data I'd really want to make that real, but we're getting there, and it's been a really fun learning process as well. Trying to understand a bit more about my body and a bit more about, I guess, what does good look like, So when I got some data from yesterday's game, which suggested my VO2 max, sort of measurement in that scenario was 57, which is apparently really quite good. And my heart rate recovery was at 60 as well. So basically, I'm able to get a bit of insight into, I guess, my limits and use that to try and shape my training program a little bit. So again, I've talked about off-ice training a lot, and I'm getting back on the bike lately as well has been amazing. So I'll probably talk a little bit about that at some point in the future. Do a bit of a what have I changed. I've done a couple of episodes in the past around trying to get the most out of my time, and something a personality trait I know I have is I get sort of easily bored, or if I don't find something interesting and it doesn't grip me, I don't do it a lot. So I talked about burpees in the past. I talked about all sorts of other stuff. So what's sticking at the moment, what's working, and is measuring it helpful and things like that. I also wanted to do an episode building up to what I thought would probably be my first game. And that has to be scrapped now because as of yesterday I played it, which is awesome. And we'll probably go into that, I guess, after a really quick summary of some training sessions. So we've had a few team training sessions and a few just off-ice skating sessions that have been really, really good as well. So like I say, could be in for a slightly longer one today, but there's plenty to catch up on, and hopefully normal service resumes as of next weekend. So before we jump into all the exciting chat around the game, I wanted to talk about basically the little insight I've gathered over the last couple of weeks. And this isn't using the data I've mentioned at the start of the episode. This is more just something I've picked up on. So I had a little look back through my skating logs since August of last year. So I've been keeping a track of all the time I've put in. Really, really helpful just to get an understanding of how consistent you're able to be, and if you have a month where you're not skating a lot and you don't see a lot of progress, well, that's probably why. And so it's a nice way of, just for me, being able to set some expectations around progress. I haven't done just a general skating session or public skate session. I think I've done one this year prior to the last couple of weeks. And I was chatting to someone about the time they put in just in public skates, basically working on technique when it's quiet, things like that, coming down to the rink once a week just to work on skating. About 6-7 months ago, I had the pleasure of meeting this chap, and he basically said that this is where I'm at on my hockey journey, and at the time he was able to pivot and I couldn't pivot, and I was just able to basically skate hard, hockey stop on my strong side, and skate backwards, and just about transition to backwards, not very comfortably, and only on my strong side. But he's obviously been skating every week, pretty much routinely doing public skating, and technically he had a lot of the pieces of the puzzle there. So backwards crossovers, something I've talked about being an aspirational desire, but really this year I just want to get into a position where I can deploy crossovers in games. When we talk about different goals and stuff like that, but having dedicated time for learning techniques is something that I haven't really prioritized. I've really put hockey time at the front of my to-do list, and I think it's about time I started spending a bit of time working on hockey technique as well, or skating technique, I should say. So that was a really good realization. So over the last couple of weeks, I've had 3 rec league training sessions. I've had 1 training session with with not another team, but like the Friday sessions, the Friday afternoon sessions, and I've also had two public skates of about an hour to just hone in technique. So where to start really? I'll try and do it as chronologically as I can. I've got some notes, thankfully, always like to keep a diary of training sessions. So where it really kicks off then, a couple of weeks ago, we had a training session with the team, and there was a drill. We introduced a new drill, and it was basically transitioning around a face-off circle, and basically once one person is at, let's say, the southern part of the circle, and you skate around the circle, trying to constantly be able to give and receive passes with that person on that side, basically. So you're trying to, you're skating backwards, you're transitioning to skating forwards. You've got a bit of, if you're very, very strong, or if you're a strong skater, you're mohawking. If not, you're thinking about how you transition, which way you're facing, and you do it one way and then you do it the other, so that you have to practice transitioning both ways and how you sort of turn and feel. And it was a really, really good drill for me. And our team captain sort of set the pass off for me to get us going. And I transitioned where I basically showed my back to him, right? I took my body away from the play to open up to him to receive a pass. Did the circle, okay? And then at the end of my little set, he pulled me aside. He said, "You've got to try and go weak side." So on the second time around the circle, when I tried to do exactly the same thing, he basically said, "Stop, weak side, try again." And that was the first time I'd ever transitioned to backward skating on my weak side. And I got it right first time, but it felt uncomfortable. But it clicked in my brain that I wasn't going to really progress my skating techniques unless I spent some time focusing on them. And I've talked in the past about just focusing on stopping and starting and getting stuck in. And there's some footage from the game which is really great, and it shows me doing just that. So I'm really, really proud of the progress I've made versus some footage from, let's say, a few months ago. I'm looking a lot more comfortable out there. I'm getting stuck in a lot more. I'm skating harder. So all the right kind of things are happening, but I've got a long way to go really in terms of fine-tuning some of the technique, or learning some whole new techniques, and deploying them in a game situation. So that happened in that session, and then we did this really cool. Was it a bit like not a passing drill, but it was a really fun breakout drill basically, and we did this 3-on-2 anyway as well, and we did this nice little, like, on our 3-on-2 break in, I guess. I ended up picking up the puck down low, sort of right side, bottom of the face-off dot, into sort of like behind the net kind of area. And I fired off this lovely tape-to-tape pass to the guy who was playing up the middle, and he was just, net front, fires a shot off, pad, kick save into the corner. I pick it up again, and this is with like traffic at the net and someone pressurizing me. Like, fired in a second pass, tape-to-tape, and he like scored the goal. And even he came over and was like, those passes were like spot on. And I was really, really proud of that. And I actually think, again, I've talked about it in the past a little bit. That's something I feel strong on. It's now like leveraging it to make a difference. So that was really good, getting able to deploy that in a drill. Nothing of note really happened in the scrim, which is really interesting. I don't remember anything standing out. I think because I'm trying to push myself to learn how to play center, and my foot speed isn't really there compared to others, I am playing like quite a cautious center role. I'm not really like pushing beyond high slot at the moment. I'm trying to be defensively responsible on the right side of the puck for any scrim that I'm doing that in, essentially. So that then led me to think, okay, after that, I need to put some time in to just go and work on my skating. So before the next training session, I managed to get an hour, I think it was, just at the rink on a Friday. No one was around. It was like a lunchtime kind of time. Thankfully, I work half-day Fridays, essentially. And I just set out to work on stopping on my weak side, transitioning on my weak side, and working on my pivots. And you put an hour into learning basic techniques. I was really, really pleased. And then the next training session came around, and we do figure eight warm-ups. We do a 3-on-0, 3-on-1, 3-on-2, sort of break-in drills again. This time we add, so it's like 3-on-0 with one back checking, 3-on-2, but one of them are back checking. So we've almost got this kind of like feeling the pressure from behind thing, rather than just a clean zone entry that there's no pressure from forwards. And again, that was really good. Get a feel for that. Enjoyed that. And then, again, scrimmage-wise, nothing crazy stand out, except a really nice little backhand pass. So again, I took the puck in on a 3-on-2 in the game, And I'm like a pass early kind of guy. Like while the space is there, while the person has room to skate into, while the opportunity is open, make the pass. And basically he was open and free. And then in picking up that pass, he was able to just skate ahead a little bit and create have the room to take a shot on goal. Equally, if he'd drawn the defender over, I'd have been open. So it was a nice little, like, I guess, real world application of some of our break-in drills. But yeah, nice little backhand pass, sort of semi-sourced, and then just in front of him so he could skate onto it. So it was just a little like the kind of thing you pick up on, right? Kind of like, oh, that was a nice little bit, contributed defensively to an extent. Yeah, really enjoyed it. And after that session, I did exactly the same thing. So I went and found an hour of ice time in the week that worked for me, that wasn't too busy at the rink, and did exactly the same thing. Literally practiced the same stuff, except I threw in crossovers as well. So weak side and strong side crossovers, and just trying to get a bit stronger. And I even had this like little, I don't know if to call it a drill or not, but routine might be a better phrase. So basically, I'd start on the face-off circle, and I'd take 3 strides up the ice, stop on my weak side, come back, take 3 strides down, and then effectively cross over on my stop on my weak side, cross over on my weak side, and then I'd be heading back up ice again for that like second big crossover, and then out of that I'd pivot on my strong side, and then end up back at the face-off circle, the face-off dot on the right hand, I guess bottom right of the rink. So what was this doing? It was getting me into the idea of, I guess, the motion. So skate, stop, skate, crossover, into, pivot, slow down, stop, skate, stop. You know what I mean? Like it was almost really fluid, trying to keep it going constantly. And it was learning multiple techniques all at once, I guess, or drilling multiple techniques, which is interesting for me. I find it, and when you've got limited time and space on the ice, but you can get a little run in like that. It's like, okay, well, I'll just do that quick thing now. So I was really happy with that. Fun to find a little drill I enjoy. I didn't do it where it was stopping strong side, crossing over strong side, pivoting weak side, because I haven't quite got the pivot on my weak side yet. But when I do that, once I add that into my repertoire, if you like, then I'll do exactly the same drill on strong and weak side. And I'm really hopeful that kind of thing, doing that every couple of weeks for 20 minutes or something, will just help hone those skills. And I talked about the skills I wanted to learn being hockey stopping both sides, crossovers in a game. If I can chuck in a pivot in there as well, which is starting to feel a lot more natural now, and transitioning both ways as well. Spent half an hour just focusing on transitioning forwards to backwards on my weak side and my strong side, and sort of doing this. I guess be 2 slower strides. So I wasn't gaining too much speed. Pivot to back, and then kind of it's hard to explain, I guess, the exact motion, but. So if I pivoted, onto my strong side, I'd use my strong leg to sort of, I'd almost like open the blade up and arc round facing forwards as I slowed down, to then almost to make a figure of 8 of sorts. It's kind of hard to actually explain, and I'll have to do some kind of visualization of that in the future. So I did that, and we had one more practice before effectively being picked for my first game. So first drill at practice is weak side transition passing again, and there was something that someone picked up on. Is like, you got to get stronger on my outside edges. Basically, it's like use both edges, and it's not the first time he said it. And a guy on our team, and he's not wrong. And it's a comfort zone thing. And for me, it's like I can occasionally do it. I just really struggle. And when I'm trying to practice, so for me, I wanted to learn or put into practice the transitioning that I'd worked on out of the hockey gear, I guess. But it ended up being more working on turning, on using my outside edges and stuff like that. So that's definitely gone up to the I need to look at how I do that sort of technique, I suppose. Also, I had freshly sharpened skates for that session, and they felt horrific. I could literally hardly skate around until I ran them over the like plastic bricks on with the doors when you hop on the ice. So those sort of like plastic bricks or whatever, I had to use those quite a bit, and I just felt like I was skating through custard, frankly. Gripping up all the time, really hard to just perform a comfortable hockey stop. And I even went down in my hollow, so I went to a 3/4 instead of a 5/8, and it still felt way too grippy. which made me a bit uncomfortable, a bit nervous. But once I dulled them a little bit, it did make a difference. We did a really cool one-on-one drill. So defenders line up against the goal, basically pass to an attacker on either side. The attacker skates out, and it's a one-on-one. Now, I actually pulled off what I thought was quite a good move. So head up, not looking at the puck, not looking to sort of be obvious or anything like that. And most people, what we were doing, they were sort of gathering speed, crossing over. So you basically exit the zone and re-enter the zone, and the defender pivots, and then you're like one-on-one. And it's about gap control. It's about keeping the center of the ice clear. Not letting attacking players get an easy shot from the slot, right? And so most people who are a lot better at skating than I am, they gather some speed, they cross over to maintain speed, and they basically try and outrun the person who's pivoted, the defender who's pivoted to the middle. And then occasionally they do a cutback, but nothing too drastic. And so I'm not particularly quick. Certainly not around corners. I don't really gather speed well like that. I'm okay in short bursts in straight lines, but I don't have that same fluidity that other people have. So I skate up and exit the zone. And I look up and I'm like, okay, what space have I got to work with? And how can I make this work for me? And if there's one move I've got in my locker somewhere, it's the in tight, I guess, toe drag sort of like right to left to put it onto my backhand or whatever. I talked about it a bit in the past, but that seems to work. I can get in quite close to my skate, so I don't need stacks of room to pull it off. And that's good because I didn't have the foot speed to really beat the person one-on-one. So went out over the blue line, came back in sort of like offside face-off dot area, skated in, not masses of speed, but not slowly. And then I sort of cut early. So I went to almost like try and get in on the left wing. So cut in early. So then the defender gets drawn out wide and then pulled it back across to my forehand side to give me more space to attack closer to the net. And it kind of worked. Like I was able to get the jump. I got a shot off and it was saved by the goalie. And that's fine. I got a shot. I didn't lose the puck, and there was plenty of people that got stick checked and muscled out of any opportunity to shoot. So because I think I cut in too early, quote unquote, and then drove to the right side of the net, because I wasn't driving starting from the middle, I was driving starting from the left-hand half of the ice. It meant that when I got my shot away, I was in a more effective position. That seemed to really work. And I actually got a really nice comment from the other goalie who was like, that was a really nice piece of work. And really, really proud of that, I guess, as a drill. And that was quite fun to be able to put this stuff into practice. It was tough. It was a tough session because of partly the skate sharpening. I think I was also a bit fatigued. And then all of a sudden, with 30 seconds to go in the training session, I pulled off a really nice 1-2 with our first line center, and so I recover the puck on the wall, let's say hash marks, I guess. And I look up and I'm like, oh, I think there's something I can do here. Like sometimes you look up, you're like, oh, getting pressured, I'm just going to dump it in low. Or you look up, getting pressured, I'm going to try and skate down skate my way through this. I don't think that very often. I'm usually dump it in low kind of guy. But I've got just enough time and I make a pass and he's like, I guess goal line, right? Maybe say 10 feet to the right of the goal. Make a pass, he receives it, takes it on his backhand. I then blow past the guy who was marking me. And even though this other chap's got someone on him, he backhand passes through the other person's legs onto my stick, and I release a shot. And you know what? The goalie saves it, and it was like high glove side, and he made a good save. And then it sort of spills down in front of him, and I try and hit in the rebound, but he covers it up, just as I'm trying to do so. It was genuinely like a really good chance created by a bit of vision from myself and a really great bit of skill and some good vision from our our 1C to pull something together. And I came away from that, and even our captain came over and he was like, "That was a really nice play, Cal." And I was like, "Oh, thanks, I really appreciate that." And it filled me with some optimism for the process, I guess. The skating wasn't really there, and it's been tough, but I'm feeling like I've got a bit more time. The game is moving, half a second, slower than it was before. Not enough. I mean, the game was a different story. That was just so fast paced and a very small rink, so much more difficult. But it was really good. So really good training. Really enjoyed that. And then out of the blue, I get picked up, and I get picked for the team. So I suppose we can probably put some of that training stuff behind us and jump onto the game. So as I said, I guess back end of that training, it was after that training session before the weekend came around, or the next day or so. Um, and I always say I'm available to play, right? Because I'm always available to play, and I see where I'm at in my sort of learning journey, and I look at my capability against the people around me, and I'm like, right, well, it's pretty obvious I'm not a lock. I'm not top line nor second line. Um, I'm not getting picked for games when we have a glut of talent. Away games with annoying drives at difficult times of the night, I might have a chance. Is kind of where I stood, but also I kind of thought just as a spare. And that's kind of, I saw my transition into it being that way. Unless we had any friendly games, and we've got one in August, and I sort of teed up an episode idea actually around what I was going to do to be ready for my first game. So basically, I wrote a list of targets, a bunch of activities I had planned, and we're going to track them over time. And basically, being selected ahead of schedule has somewhat scuppered that. It won't have, because I'm still going to talk about it anyway. But it came as a real surprise to me. Effort and commitment and stuff was obviously taken into consideration. There's another chap who is a similar sort of level to me in terms of ability who was picked as well. And we were only taking 3 lines. We took no spares. We took three lines, 3 defensive pairs. And we rolled 1 and 2 pretty consistently. And then I was on the 3rd line. And we had, I think, I don't know, I want to say 10, 11, 12 shifts, something like that. Probably played a total of 13, 14 minutes of hockey, which, is I'm really pleased with, really proud of in a sense, that you even managed to accumulate that much time, frankly. But yeah, so that was kind of, I guess, how that happened anyway. Got selected and then drove 2 hours and 45 minutes to the game, and 2 hours, and it ended up being 2 hours and a half back. I think it was a bit less traffic, but so almost a 6-hour round trip, I think, in total, or maybe just with stops. Anyway, I digress. The game, what an amazing experience. So I've never played a hockey game, a proper one before, not with a team. I obviously did the draft tournament not long ago, and that was a really good experience for cutting my teeth on competitive hockey. But what it wasn't was a proper game. There was no locker room conversation. No, this is how we're going to roll the lines. This is how we're going to play the game. Here's what you need to focus on. These are the people I've been training with since August of last year, or I say August, probably near October actually. But these are the people I've been training with since October last year. Say, these are the people that I go and spend my Wednesday evenings with into the early hours of Thursday morning. That I drive, multiple 100 miles a week, weeks in a row, and have 2.5 hours sleep before work and stuff like that. Yeah, and you kind of you build these kind of friendships, I guess, in a sense, but certainly that kind of camaraderie in a locker room. Never really experienced it. It was an awesome place to be. It was made more awesome by the fact we won, spoiler alert, but it was a really awesome place to be. And so we drive up there, meet the team outside, and we all head in. And the locker room is small. The heating was on, so it was sweaty as all hell, and the toilet didn't flush. So a really standard UK hockey rink experience. And in fact, when we got there, they were doing speed skating lessons, which also looked really cool. But there's no way I could pull that off. Their technique was so precise, and mine not so much. So get dressed, start getting set up, and then we go through the lines. We talk about the plan for the game, and really everything centers on, we've never played this team before. Let's go find out what they're made of, get stuck in, and we'll read the game for the first period and see where we end up, and then see what we can do after that. Now, I'll be honest with you, in the heat of the game, I hardly knew what the score was. So I'd love to be able to turn around and say, wow, we led 2-1, this was happening, then we did these things, and then it was this score, and this is, quite frankly, I was focused on my game and supporting the guys on the bench, and just trying to keep cool. Because I was so terrified I was going to absolutely, just shit the bed, frankly. And in the end, didn't. ultimately, which is good. Funny, a few quirky bits about the day. So much smaller rink than I'm used to. We play on or we train on an Olympic size rink, which is the double IHF size. It's brilliant. I love the space you get. I love the quality. The ice is amazing. This was much smaller. I would say it felt like it played 2/3 the size, maybe a bit bigger than that, but maybe say 3/4 the size. The ice was a lot softer, and there were no glass. There was no glass. They had boards, but no glass above the boards. It was just netting. So basically, they had low netting, and then behind the goals they had high netting, essentially. So you played on if it bounced off the netting. Not that it did a lot. I think most people knew just to keep it down. But so that was a really quirky and interesting sort of setup. And also, the benches were literally just some benches in like the middle of the rink, essentially. Well, not the middle of the rink, but not in a little confined space. The penalty box was effectively a naughty chair next to the benches on either side of the benches, and there was no door. So I've never jumped the boards before, and I've never had to jump the boards back into the bench before. So that was a whole new learning experience, and it must have been like, I don't know, stomach to chest high getting off the boards and that's with skates on, because basically the benches were like a foot taller than the ice. So the drop down was huge and the jump up was really huge as well. Thankfully, it wasn't hard to get over the boards, if you know what I mean. But it was hard work landing safely, and it was hard work, I suppose, getting off the boards. Although I took to it more naturally than I thought I would. I thought it was going to be an absolute train wreck. And after you get used to the motion, it's just like getting on a bike that's a little bit too tall for you. It's kind of fine. And I think once I got that in my own head, I wasn't really scared of it anymore. And I'm really pleased with that, because I'm not going to lie. Like, full disclosure, I had trouble sleeping the night before, and part of it was because I was nervous about how I was going to get on and off the boards. And that sounds really silly for someone who's 30 years old, but it's the kind of thing that stresses me out. It's out of my control. I've not done it before, and now I have to do it in a game situation. Like, it just freaked me out a bit. So to get there, to get a warm-up one in, to jump over and just do it and be like, oh, what was I really worried about? Really took the edge off the day for me. So in a way, it was good that I was worrying about something so trivial. So anyway, let's get past that. Warm up. Just warm up. Whole new thing. Never had to do that for a game before. Half the ice. Figure out what you want to do. So I had a nice little passing routine with one of our veteran players, who played on the third line with myself and the new chap, and he was brilliant. Really cool, calm, collected guy. Had the kind of in-game stuff where he knows how you're going to get away with holding a stick, or you know what I mean, like the crafty plays. He's that kind of guy, and really good skating technique as well. Lovely chap. So made some passes with him, had a good little sort of warm-up routine that way for puck touches, skated a bit, didn't do any shooting. And my sort of thought process was, it's not really why I'm here. And that will sound silly, I think. And at the end of the day, I know how to shoot a puck, and I'm not perfect at it, and that's fine. Loosely, I can get it on target. But my job for that match, in my mind, was about having 0 goals against. So I went into it going, success for me is not losing my assignment, and our line goes no goals against. It's about playing responsible hockey. It's about maximum effort, blocking shots, blocking passing lanes, and just being responsible, because this is my first game. And for me, maybe it's just that exposure to the Winnipeg Jets sort of development plan of take all of the offense out of your offensively gifted young players and make them play a 200-foot game. But in my head, that's how you play. And so it was really important to me to be defensively responsible. So I worked on how pucks were bouncing off the boards, and puck touches and skating and hockey stopping both sides and just getting comfortable, and trying to take the stress out of it. A few repeat practices of getting on and off the boards, just doing those sorts of things right, thinking about those changes, trying to make them effective, really, really helped. So we roll around to the game, and we effectively go line 1, line 2, line 3, and then occasionally we'd skip line 3. Like I said, we'd roll 1, 2 lines pretty much, and then line 3 would come in, opportunity to give the other guys 45 seconds to a minute and a half's rest, and rinse and repeat, basically. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't remember much of my first sets of shifts. So I was playing on the right wing, the other new chap was playing up the middle, and then our veteran player on our line was playing on the left. He shoots left, I shoot right. and so does the other player. So does the newer guy. So essentially, we line up for the first face off. The center takes the face off, and couldn't quite get a rhythm going. And so at some point, a couple of shifts in, we had a chat on the bench. I think it was after the first period. I was like, I'm quite happy to help out with that if you want. It's something, like, I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I kind of get how to do them. I just haven't had a lot of repetitions, a lot of practice. So I'm happy to jump in and do that. And he was really happy to switch. So as a right winger, I'd come and take the face off, and then we'd swap positions when naturally possible to do so. It did cause a bit of a challenge because he still wanted to play up the middle, and I'm all for that. And actually, positionally, I think it helped because it just seemed to work, I guess. We were quite fluid as a pair, certainly. And then obviously the vet could like mop up the mess if required. But I think we were quite fluid as a pair, so that worked quite well. But so I took, I think it was a total of 6, or I think it was 6 face-offs. I want to say maybe 7. I did 3 backhand and lost all 3 of them. And I was like, okay, I'm going to switch to forehand and I'm going to just shake it up a little bit. And I won all 3 of those. I just found like I dialed in a rhythm, and I was up against one of the guys who absolutely smoked me when I was not like a body check, but like had a couple of face-offs, and he was just so quick. I was like, how is he that quick? It cannot be possible. And then I changed to forehand and just found that rhythm and won a few of those. That was really, really good. So I recovered my face-off win percentage just by swapping which way I was basically looking to win the puck. But yeah, so it was just an awesome experience all around. Like I say, details a little bit hazy. There were a few really things I'm really proud of, and one thing I definitely want to work on. So I still really struggle. I talked about this in a previous episode around covering the point man, right? Because I see someone in the slot and I'm like, well, I can't leave them unattended. But I really struggle, and it's a trust thing. Like when I'm on a plane, part of me wants to be sat in the cockpit so that if anything goes wrong, I can just jump in and try and help. And that sounds ridiculous because I've never flown a plane in my life. I haven't even done it on a simulator. So why would I think that would be a good idea? There's no logic to it. It's just I have a really hard time letting go of stuff like that. So when I'm on the wing and I see someone open in the slot, maybe the center's been drawn away, or maybe we've had a bad change, or they're back checking as we speak. But I see a guy in the slot and I'm like, oh, I can't leave him unattended. So I then get suckered into trying to stop that guy, and then the pass comes out to the point man. And so I have now neglected my duty in pursuit of a different duty. I just really struggle to let go. I'd be in all 4 or 5 places at once if I could be. If I was quick enough and I was a lightning fast skater, I'd be quite happy skating just to stop passes constantly. Honestly, that sounds a bit sad, but that's kind of where I'm at, I guess. So that's something I really want to work on, that positional play, and just trusting. Like, I trust the guys. I just, in the situation, in the moment, I'm like, that person's open by like 2 feet or something. It needs more cover. Now, look, at the end of the day, we went 0 goals against for our line. So whatever we did worked, and I'm really proud of that. The positives I want to take away, well, aside from the face-offs, which I finally felt a rhythm for going forehand, I was really pleased with that, actually, like really pleased. The other ones, skated hard every shift, and managed to do some like a really nice little forechecking move, where essentially we had to clear the zone and then skate back in, and so they dumped the puck into the corner, and like I just skate hard at not the actual puck, because I knew I wouldn't get there before the person, but I cut off the wall and they didn't look up. So I was there, jam my stick against the boards. They tried to rim around the boards. I stop it, and then the other forwards coming in as well. So I just I effectively dump it in for our other forward to then try and win their ball battle, and try and keep the zone pressure up, because again, we're like a third line, right? So our responsibility is keep the puck in their end of the zone, keep the puck out of our net. That's the way I see it in my mind. So it was all about zone pressure. And what's really good about that is me sealing off the wall, keeping the puck in, effectively forced them to exit the zone in a way that gave us possession. I pull off a change, and literally 10 seconds later, 20 seconds later, maybe less, we score a goal because we've maintained defensive pressure. We've kept them in there, and we've not allowed them to make a change. We've not allowed them to clear the zone cleanly. So I come off, and literally before I know it, goal horn goes off, and we're all stood up having a shout, and that was really good because it felt like I was able to contribute in a way that was maybe not directly contributing, if you know what I'm saying. So that was great. Really enjoyed that. Um, and then I would say the last thing I was really proud of was like not letting the occasion get the better of me. Like I get really nervous, and it comes from a place of care, right? I want to do well. I don't like losing. I don't like letting people down. I care about the result, and I care about my performance and my representation of myself. Do I feel I've represented myself well? Have I performed to the level that I think I should be performing to? And the answer is I'm always going to be 5% down on what I think I can do, but that's because I have high expectations of myself. Even knowing my limitations, I still think I should do better than I should do, probably. But I didn't let that get the better of me, and I had a smile on my face the whole time. And yeah, it helped we were winning. Obviously, it helped we were winning. But I didn't feel at any point like I was spiraling, like it was going to be too much or too difficult, or I wasn't having fun. Even the tough shifts where, our captain got on a break and I tried to skate with him, and then someone sort of cut in front of me and took away my skating lane, and I couldn't find a way past. That frustrated me, and the captain came over and was like, "Oh, you got to try and get there. You got to try and be there with me." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I know." I got frustrated at myself for that moment, and then by the time I'd hopped the boards, I was fine. So the goldfish memory during the game seems to be something I am able to do, and I work hard to try and make up for any mistakes I do make in the moment. So yeah, it was good. And just from a skating perspective, like hockey stopping pretty hard, skating pretty hard. I won a race for a puck, like literally, and I couldn't quite believe this either. One of our guys sort of iced it, and I was, I guess, I won't say red line, but let's say our blue line, and their guy was the red line, and I won a race to the puck. I skated damn hard. I got there first. I put my stick in. I made sure that puck didn't leave from behind the net. Tried to go one way, and then it was like two of them against one of me for a bit, and I managed to effectively tie the puck up and keep it in behind the net, and that allowed, I think, some of our guys to get a change and some of our better players to get on. So again, you sort of think, well, these are the things that I look for from myself, and I'm executing on them. So, but yeah, winning a puck race, that's new territory. I'm really proud of that. Really proud of that. So anyway, we had a really good few periods. The first period was tight, and the second period we just put our foot down. And it went from like 2-1, 3-1 to suddenly 6-1. And then it was 6-2, up to 8-2, 8-3, 9-3, I think was the final score. So really, really impressive night from the team. I mean, our captain got six goals, 8 points. Like, he was crushing it. And it was the kind of game where it just felt like everything just was going right. But really encapsulated by a full 60-minute effort, There was no time, maybe 30 seconds of the third period at the start, where people were a little bit switched off. But, immediately back in the game, and then, yeah, it just felt like we were able to be relentless. And I was really proud to be a part of that. And I came away from the whole evening, the whole event, really, thinking, I was a part of that team. I contributed. The things I did mattered. Yeah, I didn't score. I didn't get an assist. I didn't even have a shot on goal. But I set up people for a couple of guys for some shots on goals. Shots on goal. I found myself in the right place for a couple of opportunities. I just didn't get the puck because of puck bobbles, or someone else being closed down a bit quicker than we thought they were going to be closed down, and things like that. So, but I found myself in the right kinds of places. I played defensively responsible hockey, and I had an amazing time doing it. Now I'm under no illusions that I probably won't be playing every weekend. We don't have games every weekend, for what it's worth, but I won't be playing every game. I'm not going to get picked all the time. That really was a rare opportunity in my mind. So I took it for what it was, and I really enjoyed myself. I'm still going to work towards the friendlies being the opportunities to get more ice time and to have a really good time doing it, and maybe play those roles. I want to learn to play up the middle. I had a really good time playing right wing. I just loved taking face-offs. I love that 1-against-1 nature of it. And once it clicked, once I switched to forehand grip, like, it really clicked for me. And all of a sudden, it was like, 1-3 on the bounce, and I felt like I could win them all. And it's a really interesting psychological place to be in those kind of moments when I was a backhand. I was like, I just can't I can't react quick enough. I'm just doing something not right. Switched to forehand. It was like, bang, bang, bang. There's 3 wins, and we start with possession, or we are able to dump and change, or we just don't have a situation where they get a clean win and a clean breakout. And that's, I say, me contributing, me finding a way to contribute. So anyway, I'm starting to ramble now. I can feel that myself. The drive home was obviously, got back a bit late. I think it was like 11 o'clock at night. But it was such an awesome experience. Yeah, really excited to get another opportunity in the future, even if it might not be for a little bit of time yet. So that's it, really, I think. I don't think there's anything else really to talk about in terms of the game. I'm just going to really quickly wrap up on a bit of reflections, or a bit of a reflection, I suppose. So obviously, I've mentioned a few times in this episode now, my plans were to build up to the friendly game, because I kind of figured that'd be the first time I'd get picked. And also, I've talked a little bit about fitness and stuff. So I've been recently getting back on the bike, and I'm doing like a weightlifting trial session this evening. So we'll see what that, or tomorrow, sorry. We'll see what that's like. Probably not something I'll stick with forever, but got to try all these different things. I think at some point I probably need to do a bit of a review of the things that I have found useful in the past and the things I'm finding useful now. And then I want to just share and update you all. So, these training methods have been useful. I've done these dietary things. I've tried all sorts of different stuff over the last 6 months. I think it's been about 6 months. So I'd love to share that and sit down and really break down some of my training habits. And equally, at some point, get into some more like video stuff. Now that I've got a bit of footage of me in team kit, working my ass off, and a really good comparison to a session that was, I think, the back end of last year or beginning of this year. Because I can put them side by side and it's a different person on the ice, basically, which is an awesome place to be. Absolutely awesome. But yeah, so I just wanted to end by saying a couple of episodes to come that would obviously do the usual training recaps. We'll talk a little bit about things I've learned, and the feelings I'm feeling, the experiences I'm going through. And then maybe have a couple of specific ones on some reflections and also on what I'm doing going forward. Thanks ever so much for joining me on this rather long journey. I didn't really want any episodes to be approaching 45 minutes, but here we are. There was so much to cover off after a couple of weeks off. I didn't really want to leave any stone unturned, and I also didn't want to tease the idea that I played a game and then not talk about it for a week. So that's that in a nutshell. I will be back same time next week, hopefully. But until then, hope you all have a wonderful time wherever you are, and bye for now.